guys, how's it going? It's good to be back. It's been a while since I made a video, but I was getting tired of making videos on telling you what I was going to do instead of showing you. So the last 3 months I've been focused in the fish room to kind of create more content. So when I'm kind of explaining something, I can show you instead of just talking about it. Now, many of you know I started this version of the fish room, the wild fish room, at the beginning of the year, so it's been 8 months. I did buy some fish that I could breed before that 8 months, but most of the fish I bought were to grow out to eventually breed. So I'm going to kind of go through today exactly what I've been doing. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the fish room, show you all the fry. I'm going to go over the discus, how they're doing, what my plans kind of are for the future. I've created my own food, and I've grown these discus up here. They are 2 months old, and they're reaching about 2.5 inches. So they're only eating my food that I've created, and it's all lab grade foods, and then seafood. And I'll kind of go over that in a new video. So I'll be making a video on how I water change for the fry, the discus fry, and other fry, but also the foods that I feed them to make sure they grow quick. No beef heart. I don't believe in beef heart. Just something personal that I don't believe in, because in my fish room 25 years ago, I noticed that my fish weren't living as long. They were growing to good size, but I wasn't getting the satisfaction of having a discus live 15, 16 years old. As soon as I stopped feeding beef heart, that actually happened, where I was getting fish. My oldest fish, I think, was 16 years old. So I want to kind of go over everything today, and I'll just kind of start, walk you around, and I'll do a quick overview, because I don't want to make it, I could easily go through everything today and make it a 2-hour video. So these are first the discus of the wild Heckle blueface and a red turquoise Heckle cross. Now the reason I'm doing this is I want to get the strong genetics, and you can see the fish are almost perfectly shaped. They're growing perfect. The food I'm feeding is high protein food. The adults I do feed freeze-dried blackworms too. So I'll kind of go over all the foods I feed now, and this is months and months of testing, but the food I've been actually working on for about 2 years, and I believe I'm really close. Over those 2 years, I probably had 27 versions, I think it was, I looked at, and starting with liver, because liver, actually, if I was to do something besides beef heart, I would go with a mammal. I would go with the liver before beef heart any day of the week. So just a personal preference. But I've kind of gone away from the mammals and gone to seafoods, because one thing I've found with the seafoods, especially mollusks and shrimp and stuff like that, is they're very low in toxins as far as mercury and lead and stuff like that. So usually when you get into the bigger fish, the tunas, the swordfish, they tend to have more mercury in them because they live longer. So I'll make a video on that. I'll make a video on water changes. I'm going to make a video on fry. I've grown out a bunch of stuff, and let me just kind of walk you around and show you. Also, I'll do a quick overview. All right, let's go. So first we have the wild discus. There's 18 in here. It was a very small spawn, but the reason this happened was I pulled a female from her male because I wanted to breed this guy's genetics here. If you look at this guy here, he's about a perfect specimen as far as a wild Heckle. And then I got 2 more Heckles in there. I'm hoping those are females. So they're not ready yet. They're probably 6-7 months old. So this is a blueface Nomundi. I'm not sure how they say that, but that is, so I wanted his genes. Now when I bought him as an adult, and I paid up for him. He was a breeder that the breeder told me that was at the end of his breeding cycle, so he probably wouldn't breed for me. But I know better as far as if you feed a certain food, get them to a certain health, treat them for their parasites, and I'll go through a video with that on all my new techniques on deworming fish. I don't use any metronidazole. I do on certain occasions. I used to use it by the truckload. I literally have 2 big old containers that I haven't touched. So that guy, I wanted his gene pool because that's pretty special. So he is a wild fish. Then what I did is I took this female here. Now these two paired up. That's an Allen Kerr Blueface Heckle Cross on top. That's the male. And then this female is I'm calling her, so I got her from a pet store from the waterfront. Thank you, Lewis. I'm calling that a red turquoise Heckle Cross. Now when she gets really excited, that Heckle bar does pop out. But it's probably been bred out of her for a couple generations, so it's not distinct like the Heckle down there. But she does have Heckle in her, I can tell you that right now. So I split these two up because the male was a little immature and he was not fertilizing the eggs. And so these actually have spawned, and these are their fry. So hopefully I can get that on camera. So there's about 60 fry in there. These guys were spawned on July 19th and pulled July 31st. So they've been in this tank 3 days. Now the reason I pull them about 14 days is I want to get them into these tanks and get them switched over to tap water. They bred in soft water, but I do not like my fry to be growing up in soft water. I like them to be growing up in the hard water. They tend to grow better, and I noticed that they're just easier to sell in tap water. Now, if you want to breed them eventually as a breeder, then you can transfer them back to the soft water. Okay. These guys are in tap water also. Oh, and I built this rack. So these are 40 breeders. My new most favorite tank in the whole wide world is the 40 breeder. I love the footprint. I really do. And if I had more room in here, I would probably do all 40 breeders, just because of the versatility. I do like the 29s. Okay. So here is the experiment tank. So you notice how cloudy it is. That is because these guys came in, these wilds came in with, and I've had a lot of them for a while, and I was struggling trying to get them clean. So I went into a ton of research on how to clean the fish properly, and I have total new techniques. So right now they're in their second round of Prozzy, and I use the Prozzy Pro, but I do a lot different than they do on the instructions, because of what I found is one treatment's not enough, two treatments is better, but a third treatment is actually it seals the deal as far as getting rid of the gill flukes. The gill flukes, body flukes. They're not the same, but you can find body flukes in the gills, and you can find gill flukes on the body. So these guys are in their second round of treatment and going really well, but that's why that tank is a little cloudy. Plus testing all my foods. So I'm testing a ton of foods to try to find the best protein profiles, but also to find good growth. Okay, so these guys are kind of in the final treatment. They've already went through their deworming, and they are getting the Prozzy right now, which is amazing. Okay, this is my F1 Monocapora red shoulder, and you notice she's with a bunch of fry. Now I had 7 of these. I've sold all the adults, and I'll show you why I've sold all the adults. But what I'm trying to do now is, so there she is, she looks really good. I'm trying to cross her with a Monocapora, Monocapuru albino. So I don't know the lineage of this fish. I actually got it from Dan's Fish. But it has great finnage. A little bit more flowing than I like, but I got it because of the albino, because I want to get this F1 crossed with him. And this is actually their fry, and there's actually a couple albinos in here. There was probably about 30 when they hatched, but those albinos tend to fade out pretty quick, so I think I counted like 9 last night that I saw. So these are a pair, and what happened was she started kicking the crap out of this guy right here, so I just separated them, and they'll be fine, because they're a true pair. Okay, so these are my F2 fry. I would say there's probably 100 in here total. And I also have, so F2 fry, let's see if I can get a good shot. What I really like about having the wild fish is I've actually had no culls on the fry yet, but as I go, if I see anything. But all their fins are nice and perfect. All their ventral fins, they have them both. So their eyes look really great, and they're actually growing up on my home food too. So And so I have those. I have these guys. So a 29 full. And then I have these guys. These are actually the albino cross. No albinos, which is not unheard of. So what I can do is cross these back to the F1s and probably pull out some albinos. So I would say total I have a few hundred angels, including the ones with the female right now, which are a bunch of fry. These are my wild ultims. They're doing really well. They just turned 1 year old. So they're eating real well. I've tried to get them onto the foods. They will eat pellets every now and then. They peck at my food. And that's one thing I've noticed about my food. The plecos will eat it, the rams will eat it, the discus will eat it, but the angels tend not have the right mouth structure to eat the food that I make. So they will pick at it, but I find that if I cut it really, really small, they'll eat it. Okay, sorry about the glare, everybody, but so that's one thing I'm going to try to do, is not be so hardcore on the filming, editing and stuff, and you know, making, because I've made search videos. They're just going to be tours now, because for me it's easier with running 2 businesses and a fish room to just pick up the camera and start filming. So it's going to be a little different now than it used to be. You know, eventually I will make those videos still, but they'll be far and few between. The 60 I made about 30 as search based, so for information. So they're looking really good. I don't expect them to breed. I'm trying not to get them to breed for another 8 months, because I'm trying to get that full 15-16 inches out of them. And there's one guy in here right here. He's 11 inches at 1 year. So then I got the 134s. They're all caved up. They probably won't be breeding for another month or so. I did see a little activity about 3 weeks ago, but nothing so far. But you know, these plecos, it's about the waiting game. And when they breed pretty prolific. But they breed at certain times of the year. So you got to kind of just hang out with them and let them do their thing. So I was having trouble with my fry trays because of the location. So one thing I've learned is they have to be at eye level and easy access. So what I did is I made this 20 long on my work table, on my workbench. So I have all my live foods there. And then what I did is I put, and then I think a bunch of rainbows in here. So I sold all my adult rainbows. A guy came in and wanted them all, and he offered a very fair price. So I have the fry, and then I have the F1 stir-by in there, which I'm not going to disturb, because they're a little sensitive, what I've found, as far as the stir-bys, until they're about 3 or 4 months old. So there's probably 100 dwarf neon rainbows and Lake Antijo bozemanii in there. And they're growing up together, so we're just going to let them go, and those, you know, we'll see those next year as adults. So that's one thing with the rainbows. They're more of a pet project for mine because I really enjoy them, but I know that they take a long time to grow out, and they're not a profitable fish. They're for hardcore rainbows and rainbow people. These are the last of my rounds. I did have about 150 rams. And this is my line. I have seven generations from 4 different sources that I've crossed back. So you can see this guy right here. So what I've really focused on is color and finnage. So 7 generations, and so these are my strain. This is the Scheller Aquatic strain that I've been working my butt off on. I don't really try to breed these. I let them breed if they want to, just because it's so labor intensive when you pull the fry. So 7 generations of them raising, you know, by different parents. And then one thing I didn't see, and these came in as the blackest rams in the United States. I don't know, I think mine are black, a little bit darker. These are the Coral Bandit. And what I'm noticing is they don't have the body shape that mine do, the finnage or the color. So I'm keeping these because I can throw in a fifth source if I want. One thing I do notice about this strain is it has a little bit more blue in it, so maybe I can come up with something with a little bit more fleck in it, blue fleck in it. for the midnight ram. These are my breeding pairs here. And you see this big male, he's actually on fry and they're swimming. They started swimming, so they got their first dose of paramecia today and vinegar eels. So I did a 50% water change and then doused it with the paramecia. So they're just starting to swim. I think they're losing, so he's pulling them back in. So he's my prize male, and this is I let them pair up. I don't choose the pairs. I let them pair up naturally because I just find their bonding is a lot better when they do that. So hopefully you can see that fry in there. I would estimate about 100 in there. So we'll have another batch. And then so one thing about my room is what's been funding it is the rams. On the last batch of rams, this was my total. You see that? So that's what I made on the last batch, $875, and I made that in about 2.5, 3 months. So not bad, but that helps support my experiments with getting food, buying medications, and just, you know, trying new stuff. These are another pair of mine, Schiller Aquatics, the ram. Really worked hard on these. It's about 2 years of work. So one thing that's nice about the ram is they breed and grow quick, so you can really do great things with them. And there's another pair. And then down here are my Synodontis petricola, which have done nothing. They are 3 years old, so I've tried everything. I'm just going to let them sit. It's kind of a fish that one of my very first fish I spawned. Well, I should say 30 years ago. It was one of the more exotic fish that I spawned because not many people were spawning in them back then. So for me, it's more nostalgia. If they spawn, great. If they don't, I'm not really concerned. I do have males and females, but you just never know why they're not spawning. I've tried everything, so I'm not going to stress over it. And this is my pleco project I've been working on for 2 years. So what I'm doing is I'm crossing reds, golds, albino, basically all the plecos, and just crossing them back. I did get some browns out, but I've also got some pretty cool light spotted fish that got full color. They're not browns. They're like almost I would say like a terracotta color, but they got spotting on them. So I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to show those yet. And then I've really thrown in some long fins to try to do something with that. But this is one of those projects that I just kind of been working on, and it's not serious. It's just I'm kind of just wanting to see what happens. Oh, there's my petricola. One of my favorite fish, man. It's such a cool fish. If I can find it. Come on, where are you? There you are. Oh, yeah. They actually come out pretty much a lot when I'm just hanging out in the room, but I think the camera's freaking them out a little bit. So there's 7 of them in there. There they are. Baby shark. And then these are my other pair that they haven't spawned again. They spawned 3 times. They haven't. She's young. So she's a Capoya, red, and then a Royal Heckle cross. So just haven't got it right yet. And I'm not. That's one thing I do in my fish room is I'm never in a rush to make things happen. And a lot of failures equals success. And then so I'm working on this rack right now. Those are empty. That's where my rainbows were that I sold. And then down here I got to paint these white. And then I sealed these tanks off for when more pairs start pairing up. Here's my pride and joy right here. These are my wilds and my F1s. Ika, so there's a ton of stuff in there. I can't remember all the names right now, but there's the wild Heckle, there's the Ika red right there. There is, this one's my favorite in the whole wide world. I'm going to really work on breeding this fish. So the reason why the water's cloudy here is they get a ton of food. I feed these guys 4 times a day, even at this size, because these are future breeders. So you would think, uh-oh, all that food? Yes, I change a lot of water. They get a daily water change of 20 to 30%. But what's happening is the bacteria sometimes gets left behind a little bit between so much food, and not enough water, because really, you know, with the amount of food I'm feeding, they should probably get to be 50, 60. But I find as long as they're looking healthy, I don't really worry about overdoing the water changes. And for me, it's not about how the tank looks, it's about how the fish look. That's all I care about. So as long as they're healthy, their eyes are shining, their fins are open, they're wide open, they're sitting there begging for more food, I'm happy. Alright? So that's a big one. This is future. And I baby these guys, because that's something special in that tank right there. And every single one of them is amazing. Now I do have I would call it a dither or a stunted runt in this tank, and that is 100% on purpose. This guy right there that just went behind. So right there, he's great. He came in really stunted, and I paid a lot of money for him, and I was very angry. But I didn't go into, like, you know, freak out mode, because I was like, okay, well, that fish right there is going to be my bottom of my food chain. Because what happens is if one of these fish gets taken out and sent to the bottom, they start losing their size a little bit. I don't want that. So he serves a purpose. It's sad. Now, he's a good looking fish, don't get me wrong, but he's not something I'm going to breed. If you notice his eye size, it's a little bit big. When he came in, his eyes were huge for his size. So I've really put a lot of meat on him with my homemade foods, which I will be selling here soon. But it's all about making sure that I can ship it, and cost and packaging. So that's where I'm at right now. The food, I believe, is ready. So I'm testing out the last batch right now. So important to have this fish in this tank. Was I happy when I paid $100 for this fish and this is what I got? No, I was not. And the guy who sold it to me, he heard about it. But I didn't waste the opportunity. He's a great eater. He's dewormed. He's got everything. He just is the bottom of the pecking order. This guy right here, woohoo! Yeah. Oh yeah. So you guys are gonna want that fish's fry one day. Woo. Dang. I walk in every day and I'm just blown away by this fish. So yeah, special F1 Ika red. That's it for today. I'm going to start making videos again, but they're going to be more of this loose flow and just kind of talking, because I'm more comfortable doing this than trying to script everything out, lighting, all that garbage. I don't have time to do all that. So it's going to be more of a free flow, check out my fish room, focus on a tank, do topics and stuff like that. So I have about 6 or 7 ideas coming up, and now that I have the material to make better videos, I'm going to do that. Alright guys, I really appreciate everybody, and I hope you stick around. We've reached 1,000 subscribers. I think we're at 1,077. My views took a hit, and my view time took a hit. I don't really care about that. All I care about is getting the good information out there. And my whole view on medications has changed. My whole view on foods have changed. My whole view on water has changed. Everything's changed from when I started making videos, and that's because I'm doing the research now. Because I'm just finding that the old research isn't really working for wild fish like it did for domestics, but I think we can take that wild information and use it for our domestics. Alright guys, I appreciate everybody, and like I said, I hope to make every week, if not every 2 weeks. But they're going to start coming now, okay? Take care guys, bye.